if I had to pick a joint, my favorite joint, it might be the subtalar. So this setup is great. We're going to have the spring crossing, and we want the strap as close to the calcaneus as we can without it rolling off. Notice I have Mariska on a little bit of a turn rather facing directly. Take this leg a little bit further back. Good. So from here, Mariska, I want you to roll that ankle out and in a few times, trying to increase the pressure into the strap. Beautiful. Then hold it there. I'm going to ask you to hold into the strap and just bend and straighten your knees 3 times. Nothing big, with the goal of maintaining the pressure in the strap. Beautiful. Now subtalar, we want to move it both ways. Roll in. Now, roll in and hold. Maintain the pressure there. Bend those knees again. Beautiful. And this exercise obviously can be done standing. You can also do this seated. Just make sure you change the angle of the spring. Now that we've mobilized the subtalar joint, let's challenge it. Because let's be honest, our foot doesn't hit the ground perfectly every single day and every single step. Not to mention, we want to walk on different surfaces. So we've got the slant board on the bottom rung with a bit of a slant. I'm going to have Mariska take her right foot on there. Now you can challenge it higher up or lower down. From there, so put it where you want it. She's just going to step up and down. The beauty is she can hold onto the ladder here. And if we want to give added feedback, a lot of clients, right when their foot goes open chain, they lose everything. Come back down. So by putting the strap on the back foot, kind of keeps them connected so their back hip doesn't screw up the whole exercise. Okay? From there, we can also have the client turn around. Let's take you out of this strap. So we worked the foot at this angle. She's going to do the same foot in that angle. And be sure to vary the foot position because we don't want our clients to only have a foot to hip connection when their foot is perfect. The calf raise is a great exercise to assess a lot of things. What I like to do on the calf raise is take 2 fused ladder springs and place them at the feet. I also like, you can fold up the mat, you can use a towel or a pad to bring the toes into toe extension. Okay? A lot of times our clients' toes are fighting to find the ground. Bring the ground up to them because something that's often missed in the calf raise is the beautiful toe extension. We don't want the pips and dips to grip, so this often alleviates that problem. I'll ask my client to hold onto the ladder and move up and down. We can also test the sensation in their feet. So I can ask the client to hold up, and I can say, as you lower your heel, do not increase the pressure into the straps. And then lift again. Now, if the client doesn't feel that, we know we'll kick that down the street and deal with it later. But from here, we can get some feedback up and down. Now, if a client needs more support, I can bring the straps up to the thighs or use my thigh cuffs and elevate the springs higher so they get that boost from the hips. A lot of times when people do calf raises, they do a lot from the upper body, a lot from stealing from the knees and feet, so this gives them the much needed hip control. Now after we do a calf raise, let's get into push off. So from here I can ask Mariska to bend the right knee and lift the heel. Hold it there. From there, put that heel back down. Again, and back down. Now, as the client gets stronger, we can remove the pad under the toes. We can also take this strap back down to the foot to give some more distal feedback. Okay, so I still have the proximal hip control on the non-moving side or the stance leg, and I've got the distal sensory feedback at the moving leg. The client can also bend the knee and hold it. From here, I want you to lift both heels to come up to a calf raise. Good. And then lower the left heel, bend the right knee. So come up, straighten both legs, bend the right knee, lift the heel. So we can get a little bit of a pump in the legs, and you can also alternate. So they'll lower one, bend the other. And again, you can have both distal straps, both proximal, or one and one, based off what your client needs. Now, if your client still has some gas in the tank, we could do some calcaneal spirals. Can also do this exercise seated. So I'm going to have Mariska come to her push-off position, knee flexion, hip flexion, plantar flexion, toe extension. And then from there, I'm going to ask her to draw a circle with her heel. We call these calcaneal spiral. I really want her to move that strap around in a circle. and make sure they go in both directions. In a perfect world, the toes will stay down and this elevated surface will help. But if the toes don't stay down, we can add some sensory feedback on the top or lift the surface a little higher. Now, we can't forget about toe flexion. We talked about toe extension. We got to do some toe flexion. Grab a sock. Throw it down on the ground. I'm going to go this way for my client. I've got these straps around the hips. We want proximal hip control so we get the most out of the foot. From there, I'm just going to ask the client to scrunch that sock up, trying to pick it up, slide it a few times, and then we'll go right to the other foot. Now, depending on the sock and surface, if a client can actually pick it up, we might add a little bit of knee flexion. We might add that they have to pick it and hand it to themselves. All different options, but don't get too excited. Make sure that the client is able to get the toe flexion before we start adding some spice and flavor to the exercise.